In late winter of 2024, I found myself with a problem. I was a regenerative farmer and something of an agribusiness entrepreneur, and I just created an Instagram post that had gone truly and utterly viral to the tune of tens of millions of views. The post brought to light the peculiar challenges faced by black farmers by wrapping them in a series of jokes. And of all the different kinds of reactions the post provoked, I found one type of reaction to be particularly alarming. Lots and lots of people expressing that they now felt encouraged to buy a piece of land and start farming. As a guy who'd had that impulse a decade ago and then acted on it, these sentiments more or less caused me to panic. I knew what the next steps for these people were going to be. They were going to take to Amazon or TikTok or Instagram and find themselves inundated by farmer influencers and authors who make their living not growing and selling food, but convincing other people that they can and should start farms to grow and sell food, and supposedly teaching them how to do so. You'll probably recognize this for what it is. It's a Ponzi scheme. And now I sat terrified that, just by my mere existence, I was now funneling hundreds of thousands or even millions of people into the agrarian MLM that I'd been raging against for years. So, beginning on the first day in February, I started writing my own story. All the lessons I'd learned the hard way in my first decade as a first-generation farmer, and I was determined to get it done as quickly as possible. By the first day of March, I'd completed a 170-page manuscript. A week later, it was edited into an ebook. By March 11th, people were downloading it, and I was reasonably satisfied that I'd done my part to stop the bleeding and made a meaningful and sorely needed contribution to the copious literature available on how to start farming. As I jumped into the farming season that spring, my emails were peppered with messages coming from as far away as Australia, Nigeria, Switzerland, and all over the United States, claiming the book had saved them hundreds of thousands of dollars, decades of frustration, even their lives. 2024 was my busiest farming season ever, so I didn't have time to really promote the book. It wasn't listed on Amazon, signed by a publisher, or subject to the endless book signings and interviews that come with a publicity tour. It sold 1,500 downloads with just the occasional video mentioning it in my social media. Immediately after releasing the book, I went and spent the next year actually building and running an agribusiness exactly the way the book prescribes. So now in the audiobook, I get to talk about how that went, how it's going, and if anything has changed. This is probably going to feel more like a really long podcast than your typical audiobook, and I hope that makes it all the more interesting, engaging, and informative.